Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm the Padre, and this is the Pritch. It's called the Padre and the Pritch, or the Pritch and the Padre. Whoever speaks first. But we're here to give you some insights, hopefully some happy words, some things that will perhaps inspire you to be a better person and to get along with others. And even though I'm of the Catholic priesthood, it's not a spiritual show in that sense, but I'm here to convert my friend
for years,
who's holier than thou. So I just, Mike, I'll start it off by telling you I had a funeral of one of my nephews, and after the vigil the night before, I went back to his house, where he was no longer there, and I sat in his chair, and I poured myself a glass of brown water.
I think I know what that means.
Yeah, brown water, and I sat there, and I looked up in the fireplace, and he had a sign above his fireplace. And this guy's been suffering for almost a year with cancer, all kinds of cancer, and had all the, the chemo and the radiation and everything.
Yes. Familiar.
So I sit down in the chair and I look up, and he's got a sign above his fireplace, and it says, "If life is so bad and you can't stand it, try kneeling."
Oh,
and,
wow.
and I, he and his wife were spiritual people in these days.
Yes.
So it's a good setup for people who forget when things are tough, that, God's going to be up all night anyway. You might as well lay your burdens on somebody else instead of counting sheep if you can't sleep. Give it all over to a higher power, a spiritual being.
You taught me early in my life that why worry when you can pray, right?
Oh, yeah.
I used to say that all the time, and I took that to heart, and I'm on that rosary a lot, and I do pray all during the day because of the work I do, and I think that what we provide here is what I call OTL, an oasis of tender laughter, right?
No, I've never heard you say that. An oasis of tender laughter.
Well,
there's nothing tender about your laughter.
No, I'm talking about the tone of what we say.
Right. So anyway, the scriptures say, at the name of Jesus, every knee should bend, which is the kneeling concept, and every head should bow at the name of Jesus. So it gave me some homily fodder for the Mass itself.
Yeah, it was great.
And it's a good thing to keep in mind, even when you're off strain and you're not sure which way you're going. Right. And life is so difficult. Try kneeling.
I love that when we realize that in kneeling, it's knowing that when we kneel. I always love that line in the Psalms that says, "God is my hiding place." And I believe that to be true, that you find a place to be where you can kneel and pray, and it means everything to you for your mental resolve and your resilience, and your being able to, once you do stand, you stand not as a survivor but as a prevailer and an overcomer. You believe that you're stronger and wiser. I've always taught my kids and grandkid that, he's the little one is hilarious. And I said, "I'm going to kneel and pray." And he goes, you're too tall and you're too heavy because
and your knees don't work.
That's what he said. He goes, "Grandpa, you don't have to kneel. You die." Like, he's giving me absolution. He's 5. No, you don't have to kneel. Don't even try to kneel, because nobody can lift you up. We'll have to hire a crane. Well, he doesn't say that, but he infers it.
The other thing that struck me while you were talking there, I I read this one time when a guy said, God's not part of my life anymore, and everything seems dark. And I said, well, maybe it's because you put God in your pocket and forgot about it.
Wow.
So there's the darkness there. So reach in your pocket and try again. Try something else.
Good.
If it's not working for you this way, perhaps there'll be another way where it works.
I remember, because I loved him. He was a nice man. He had a place up in Tahoe. And I was on PBS, and he was a speaker on PBS. I'm trying to remember his name, though.
This is not like you.
He was actually a famous speaker on positive spirituality, and he was a Catholic and Italian guy.
Oh, okay. Well, let me think. Go ahead.
You'll think of him, or I'll think of him. And he made me laugh. I burst out laughing because we were there, and he was talking about, he said, I met a guy one day, and I was talking to him, and I said, have Leo Biscaglia.
Oh, Biscaglia. Yeah, I know that.
So he says, hey, I grew up in a big Italian family. We would all lay on the bed with mom and dad. We'd all be laughing. And then parents would make us go make breakfast and bring it into them. And we'd be howling laughing. He goes, I grew up in a loving family. There was just so much love. And he goes, and I met a guy who was lonely and isolated. And he looked at me and goes, I'm angry with God. And I'm looking right at him, and he goes, I said to myself, not to him, I didn't want to offend him, what an ego. Like God doesn't have time for just you. I've got Somalia, I've got Ukraine.
So my thing along that was this guy always said to me, I just don't feel as close to God as I used to be. I said, well, guess who moved?
That's perfect.
Guess who moved?
That's the perfect.
God isn't moving.
He's not going anywhere. Been there for ages and ages. My rock and my foundation.
Yeah.
Right? I will look to the hills from where my help has come.
So, what have you been doing?
I did. It's been fascinating, Father. I was just out working with the kids, and we were talking yesterday. We filmed a wonderful show here on mental health, and because of the shootings that have been taking place, and I watched a young man who's a congressman, and I don't apologize because in my life, because of the work that I did do, I did have guns around because of the work I did in law enforcement and the military. But what I thought was remarkable was this young congressman was so angry because of Buffalo and then Uvalde. And I'm not getting political here, folks. I'm not talking about gun control. Not going to do it. It's not what I'm here for. What I'm saying is, he said, you guys have to understand, your right to have these guns in the hands of mentally ill people to kill us shouldn't be outweighed by our right to live. And it was profoundly simple and yet wise. And I told them yesterday when I was with Ra and them, I said, guns don't kill people. Community indifference does. If you don't have laws that structure that two 18-year-olds who are mentally sick kids and have no business buying guns like that, that have that kind of ability, that capability, and can be purchased as ghost guns. Now, a ghost gun, Monsignor, is a gun that has absolutely no limits because it can't be traced. You can do anything.
It doesn't have numbers on it.
Nothing.
All that? Nothing.
No. It's all made out of plastic. They can make a 45 caliber 1911 model Colt with plastic.
And do they sell those in the store?
They don't.
Those guns?
They don't sell them. You can buy them black market.
Oh, okay.
You can go on dark web. You can go. I mean, they're finding all these facilities where they're making them. Many of them are made in the Philippines and then brought over here, and they sell them. But the one, a 60-round clip with tape around it can be flipped around, and you can fire 120 rounds in under a minute.
Whoa.
And so we're talking about the gun buyback program, but people are angry about everything now.
Yeah.
And so...
Were you part of that, Marin, by the way? That they did that over the weekend, didn't
Yes, I did do that with the district attorney is a good friend of mine, Lori Frigoli, and as well. I work on a bunch of commissions. I'm working on human trafficking with my good friend Marlene Capra and Linda Wittong and Paula Camina, who's the
See, I
former
knew you
district
could get all the names of that. But Biscaglia, you couldn't get.
And and I did love Biscaglia. He was a very wonderful man. He gave great lectures on PBS.
So go back to now the gun. Did they do well, or do you know?
No, they did. I think that there's a resistance to people turning their guns. So we're getting hunting guns and stuff like that. The guns we need to get off the streets are the guns that
hold 120 rounds.
Exactly.
And ghost guns.
Right, and ghost guns, yeah. And so when you try and tell people, you inform them of this stuff, it's really urgent and important to realize that. And you won't believe this when I told this yesterday. Did you know, because I did a documentary to help these guys raise money, there's a cabinet level position. I can't wait to hear your Cape Girardeau approach to this, because you're good dad, Harry, and you've been all over the world. They have a cabinet level position in Britain called the Minister of Loneliness.
No.
Now, see, you shouldn't be laughing.
Minister of Loneliness. What does it pay?
Well, it's a cabinet level position, so I would say £100,000. Why is that important?
Well, the Queen doesn't need it. She got plenty of attention.
No, she has every tabloid in the world with her this morning, and covering her two daughter-in-laws, or granddaughter-in-laws.
And you've read those already. No,
you know when you wake up in the morning and you are looking at the folks in Britain are yelling at a guy for not wearing a tie while covering the Queen.
Oh,
and he was like, let me go get a tie, and they were like, we're joking. You look fine. It's we're being facetious. But what I was going to say to you is this. Mr. Applebaum and Mr. I'm trying to remember his name. These are very nice men from here. They cover loneliness, and they interview lonely, isolated people in senior citizens complexes.
Oh.
Because they get self-isolative, and they get cynical and hurtful to themselves and others, because they become brashly contemptuous of the fact that there's enough. And that's why I go to the senior homes and do comedy. But that loneliness leads to more self-isolation, and loneliness. Mm-hmm. And so that's what the theme of their movie is. And I always tell everybody, the more we debrief people and listen to their sorrows and help them unburden, like you do in the confessional, you listen, and then you understand, and you don't overstand. You help them understand, right? So.
And when you come in, I always bring my lunch, because I know it's going to be a long session.
I'm looking right at your sister.
No, she doesn't believe I'd say these things.
But I will tell you that I told the story the other day. The lady that was at one of the senior homes asked me if she could have a hug. And I said, I've had 2 heart attacks. My wife is going through chemo and radiation. And I just, I don't want to risk this with COVID. She had lost her spouse. And she said, "You remind me a lot of my husband. He was gregarious and happy and joyful." And I thought, I did the only thing I could do, Harry, that you have taught
Fist
me.
bump?
No. I went like this. I go, "Jesus, you got to keep me surrounded here with the angels. I'm going to give her a hug."
Oh.
And I gave her a good, sweet hug. And she was grateful. And I said, "You know what? If I die, as any good medic would say, helping to save a human being's life and life force, I die well."
You die well.
Right?
Absolutely.
Catholic social work.
Yeah. But I was thinking of, well, I'll forget that. You know,
You were going to say something.
my sister's here. She's visiting. You know where she's visiting from?
It's so
Boston.
good to have you here, Della, because he behaves himself. He's so much kinder.
So she brings the Boston Celtics from Boston.
Peyton Pritchard.
Yeah.
They call him the leprechaun. He
It is
hit a 3-shot,
Yeah.
and they go, "Leprechaun." Boston.
I didn't know that. Anyway, the team was sad last night.
Yeah, but here's what's funny. Peyton Pritchard, they call him the leprechaun. He's 6'1"
Oh, he is a leprechaun.
in the NBA.
Yeah, in the NBA.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, speaking of the word up, when we had the feast in the church called Ascension, used to be Ascension Thursday, now it's moved up to Sunday, but one of the lines there is, "Why are you guys standing here looking up?" And when a basketball player, they look up, or a guy hits a home run, up as a direction.
Right.
Now there's a great country western song now that does what I did 20 years ago when I used this word up, and it's almost like black and white. White was always good and black was something wrong. There's some negative, pejorative expression when you say down, or it's a downer.
Right.
But who knows? Heaven may be down. But the scripture also says you go down, and the difference between up and down is it's a direction.
Yeah.
For me, God isn't up there or
Down there.
Yeah, down there. It's kind of all over.
Around us and in us, That's that song that all the kids sing in summer camp. Around me, above me, below me, beneath me, with me, beside me, and
Thank you. I thought for a minute I thought you were going to try to sing it.
No, I'm not. I'm not a good singer like you.
Yeah, right. No, you're a great singer. This guy, on church and Sunday, he will come in way before anybody's there, except the Holy Spirit, and do his favorite gospel song, because the church, the chapel, the acoustics are so marvelous.
They really are.
He sounds like you
Luciano
actually sound
Pavarotti.
good. Oh, Pavarotti.
Pavarotti. Deep, bello.
Anyway, I'm in the back, and I think, well, as soon as you start singing, the mice start running for cover, going here this way, looking for holes in the wall.
Anyway.
Singing. Well, so go back, and you were talking about the music and what's a kid sing at camp? That's what you were saying.
Yeah. Well, I learned it at Camp Don Bosco in Missouri. We went to, and you went to when you were a young kid, and Mom and Dad sent you, and
they did with John Pickens.
Yep. That's a great story that you told, And Della's sitting there going, "John Pickens, that's a name from way back when." And but what was great at Camp Don Bosco, the first thing, and I do this with the grandkid now, it's just, so rise and shine and give God your glory, glory, rise. You remember that?
Yeah.
It triggers those thoughts.
No, like acid reflux. Yeah. You remember when I said I was reading about the Wild West because I got stuck for 2 or 3 hours in Texas at my nephew's, and he said, "Why don't you watch some of this series called 1833?" Or have you seen that?
Right, yes, yeah.
It's the same guys that did Yellowstone.
Yellowstone, yeah.
And it's quite interesting. But after 3 hours, I had all the West I could deal with, and anyway.
Had you snoozed off?
No, I stayed awake. I had to catch a plane. Anyway, they had that deal about the stagecoach,
right.
Wells Fargo, and they had 3 classes that you could ride. So if you paid for a first class ticket on Wells Fargo stagecoach, something happened. You got robbers came, you got stuck in the ditch, the wheel fell off,
attacked by
Indians or whatever, or the horse died or something like that. You could sit in your seat. You didn't have to move, which means you didn't have to get out in the hot sun or
because you
paid your first
extra.
class. If you went second class, you could you had to get out of your seat. You could stand outside while they were repairing or anything like
or
that.
Something, yeah.
Yeah, but you didn't have to work. You didn't have to do anything. You could just stand there. And the third class, you not only had to get out of your seat, but you had to push, heave, ho, lift the thing.
Wow.
So the third class citizen is the very important kind of thing for us. As I followed up on that, the guy said, "I'm just starving for spirituality." And the person said, "Well, you better take off your bib and put on an apron," which means you're going to have to do some work.
You're going to have to
You're going to have to go as a third class on the Wells Fargo in case the coach gets stuck in the mud or one of the horse passes away and they have to rearrange something. You're going to have to work. You have to do something. So spirituality for me, in some ways, it goes back to at the very beginning of our podcast today when I said my nephew had that sign. If you can't stand something in life, try kneeling.
Right.
Doing something about your life to make a change.
And take off the bib, and you don't have to always be served. If you're serving, you're accomplishing more for your soul, right?
Yeah.
I had one of the kids who was dyslexic. He taught me, he goes, my dad and I got a bank account at Swell Go Far. And I go, what? And he goes, Swell Go Far. He goes, I'm dyslexic. That's how I say Wells Fargo. Swell Go Far.
Now that's funny.
Because the kids will teach you everything. They'll make you laugh so hard. I get gut sick listening. They teach you so much, and especially the little ones. But what I was saying is that's the line by Winston Churchill. You make a living by what you get, but you make a life by what you give to others, which is profoundly important. And that act of, I haven't been a social worker in probation, parole all my life. I think when I look back at my life, just the happiness that I've had, knowing that there's hundreds and thousands of kids that I've helped from my shows and my speeches, talks, and my moments with them in those parole meetings where I say things to him. And I remember the look on the guy's face. I said, "You're not going to get away with this." And he goes, "Oh, yeah, why not?" And I go, "Because karma has your address. Jesus knows where you live." And he went, "Oh, I never thought of that." I said, "Yeah, your mom tried to teach you that, but you didn't want to hear it." But I said, "Here's what's going to happen. Justice doesn't come right away. But when it does come, it arrives in a huge way. And they all, for some reason, they get that, you know? And I think if you do something wrong, there's always that tap on the shoulder coming. And it's an FBI agent going, hey,
Back in the slammer.
back in. Gotta go.
So what you said a while ago, quoting somebody else in the Acts of the Apostles, was one of my favorite expressions when I worked in development for the church.
Oh, man, you
It's
did.
better to better to receive, or better to give than to receive.
See. Oh, yeah. Wow.
So and a lot of people use that now when they're trying to, right? But it's so true. If I often say, you and I have been blessed with the opportunity.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, someone would say to me, "Why did you become a priest?" And I'd say, "Well, because it gave you a chance to help people, and you didn't have to go out looking for it. It would,
Yeah,
it would
came
come and
to you.
find you.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so
Wow.
if you want to live your life to do something for somebody else, it's worthwhile."
How many times did you hear the phone ring or the doorbell ring at the rectory and you go, oh, yeah, back in it, right?
No, I just turned the shower on.
I didn't hear that.
No, I didn't. So I told you a story one time with Father Sullivan. At 2:00 in the morning, you know, you could hear the ice cubes tinkle in the glass.
Oh, yeah.
As you thought you were really helping somebody.
Right.
And you come down the next morning, your eyes, what'd you do? Well, I had this guy on the phone last night. Father Sullivan said, "That guy's an alcoholic. He's now sleeping. You lost 2 hours of sleep. You're going to go down and work in an office all day long, and you're going to feel like, wow, that guy's going to get up about 5 and start drinking again. And at 2, he'll call you again because you listened to him. When are you going to learn?" He says, as soon as you hung up the phone, he was gone, and he never will remember who he was talking to.
Was he raised in an Irish village, I wonder? Cyril, yeah. He is a good man, yeah. You know, I remember one of our chaplains in the military, and I saw him, and he was just sitting all by himself, and he was smoking a cigar outside. I said, "Chaplain, you okay?" And he goes, "That's a matter that's absolutely relative." I said, "You mean like money?" And he goes, "I don't know what you mean." I go, "Well, the more money, the more relatives." Isn't that always
They
true?
come out of the wall.
Oh man, if you hit real big time on your book.
Oh yeah, my book. Yeah, let's hit. Who's the guy's show I want to go on?
Here's the thing. Any of the shows, there's Jimmy Kimmel, there's
The guy that he talks about his Catholicism a lot.
the kid from CBS.
Yeah, he took David.
No,
he took somebody else.
yeah, no, it was David Letterman.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
right.
Anyway, everybody's always telling me he would really like my book.
I think everybody will love your book because it's a modern day depiction. And look at that picture, folks, of that baby looking up at Padre. It don't get better than that. That's what life is really all about. When a baby's in their innocence being baptized into our faith system.
And the title is "I'll Never Know," because I'll never know what's going to happen to that baby. I often said could be the President of the United States or a priest in the church taking my place.
Right.
And speaking of taking our place, we're going to take our place and say goodbye. So thank you so much for tuning in wherever you might be getting us, and we look for another chance for you to be with us. I'm the Padre, and he's
The Pritch.
the Pritch and the Padre. God bless.
God bless, folks. Have a good day. Be well.